Kansas is moving towards a very interesting situation, outfitting security surveillance cameras at schools with artificial intelligence that supposedly can spot people carrying guns. Now, the governor needs to approve all of this, and the schools would have to meet a number of different criteria. The AI software apparently has to be patented and designated as qualified anti-terrorism technology. And that, I guess, it brings it in compliance with a number of security industry standards. But at least 30 states already use this. Let's talk a little bit about it this morning. It is joining us on the Wake Up Call this morning, CEO and founder of Aleda. It's a technology firm that helps automate companies through AI. Matt Rosen joins us on the Wake Up Call. Matt, thanks for being with us this morning. We appreciate it.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me on the show. Excited to talk about AI and what some of these schools are thinking about doing. It's very exciting, some of the advances and what it's going to allow from a safety standpoint.
Okay, is there a particular reason why these things have to be designated as qualified anti-terrorism technology? What's the reason?
I can't speak to that, but what I can speak to is the fact that what they are doing is taking live feeds from the schools that they're already recording. It's really genius what these guys are doing. They basically have a command center, and so you can have security guards. No one can sit there and watch 20 feeds all day long, but an artificial intelligence engine can. It uses what's called computer vision to basically they basically train a model on what someone holding a gun looks like and all the different types of guns. And the model sits there and watches all these feeds looking for a person holding a gun. And then, it can dispatch authorities, it can notify school administrators. I think the bigger thing is you've got to have someone to respond to the threat. I think it's a great use case that could be used in airports and malls and train stations. I mean, you name it, any big public place with cameras, you could use this technology or a similar technology to monitor and detect threats and try and do something before they happen.
So does the technology pick up if the gun's in the hands, or does it also pick up if it's in a backpack or a bag?
From what I could tell, it looks like the gun has to be exposed. So if you're sitting there with a backpack full of guns or explosives, unfortunately, it's not going to detect that. It's really more the gun is out and prepared for use. You could theoretically do that with a knife as well. I think some other applications, you could probably stop fights in the hallways before they happen. And heck, I've got two kids that are 13 and 10. I'd love for this to be in the schools in Dallas. I go pick up one of my kids from school. I go up to a box. I think they can see me. I tell them who I am. They release my kiddo, but they don't know if it's Matt Rosen or not. But you could use facial recognition technology, and I could scan my driver's license when my kid starts school and make sure my kid's being released to the right person. So I think the technology has a lot of application from a safety standpoint. And this is one of these areas where you hear a lot of bad press about AI. This is one where AI is being used for good and for the betterment of humanity.
Okay, so I'm confused about one thing here. Is this technology being used anywhere, or has it gone into use anywhere at this point?
It has. It is being used in a couple schools across the country today. In fact, according to the Zero Eyes website, they've arrested like 10 people. Yeah, so it is actually being used. So Kansas and Missouri, I think, heard about this and are doing the grants for schools so they can apply for it and get these technologies. I mean, you still need to have cameras in place. You still need to have a response unit in place. But yes, this stuff is being used today, and it's a great use of AI. And really, what we do is help organizations look at the different AI models out there and figure out which ones should they use for a business problem they're trying to solve. But I'm really excited about what these guys are doing. In fact, I've even reached out to them just so I can get to know them and figure out if there's other applications for their technology.
Now, my understanding is that the company is called Zero Eyes, and it was actually founded by military vets after that shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High in Florida. Is that true?
That's what I've been able to ascertain, and so I think it's a great application of the AI technology. And they obviously have a command center where the AI alerts that there's a threat, and then can text message administrators or send an alert to the authorities. I mean, it's very similar to the same type of monitoring technology that like a Brinks or an ADT has been doing for years, where an alarm goes off and they dispatch the authorities. I think the challenge to overcome is, sometimes if the shooter's there walking in the school, there needs to be some immediate response. So, that's something that schools need to think about how they're going to handle. Maybe here in a few years we'll have Terminator-type robots to take them out, but, that presents its own challenges as well.
So is this something that, for instance, a school district says, okay, we're going to implement this type of AI surveillance at the schools? Is that something that is run at like some central location within the school district, or is this something that goes to like some command center in another state and something like that, and then they contact the authorities? I mean, I'm just kind of curious how that is set up.
Yeah, my understanding of how it works is, it picks up the video feeds. So if you've got video cameras across the school, it picks up a feed from each camera, and then that's run against a centralized model that's probably sitting on a server somewhere, and that model has been trained by professionals to identify threats. You asked about could it detect something, that's concealed. I mean, you'd have to combine it with X-ray or something like that, and most video cameras aren't equipped with that. Could they be in the future? Sure, but that comes at a cost. So the cost of deploying this technology is low because they're using existing cameras, existing feeds, and as long as that can be sent over the internet to their servers and to their control center, they've got a center that sits there, the threat gets detected, they notice the threat, and then they make the phone calls. So you do have a human kind of verifying, yes, this is an actual threat. And that goes back to, AI and humans work better together, because you wouldn't want the AI doing the dispatch without, like, having a person actually validate something's going on. So it is kind of a centralized model that the video feeds to, and then a centralized group of people that are doing the actual work to dispatch it. And there's a couple organizations out there doing this, but Zero Eyes is the one that's getting a lot of press lately, and I'm pretty excited about what they're doing.
I don't know. I mean, it's been a while since I've been to a public school. I would think that the best option would be, to have cameras well outside the school before somebody walks through the door, as opposed to you've got cameras inside, somebody walks through the door and they've already, they're armed. It seems like that's almost a little bit late. I mean, better something than nothing, but it seems like, you'd almost want something that would be outside on the school grounds monitoring, so that, police could at least get a little extra advance notice before they even make it to the doors.
Yeah, well, I spend a lot of time picking up and dropping off at school, and I have seen some cameras on the outside of the school, and most of the doors are locked, and so, you have to, again, go to a door, hit a button. There is a camera on that. But, I mean, I would almost have it as if you don't recognize this face, don't let the person in. So I think, like anything, there needs to be multiple layers of security, whether it's outside, inside, whether, there's some facial recognition, verification. And then, again, you've got to have somebody to respond to the threat, and if it's not local authorities, is it somebody in the school? And that's something schools and these companies are going to have to figure out, is what is that game plan when something happens, because we've all seen way too many tragedies. And so I'm glad there's organizations like this out there leveraging this technology for good to try and prevent bad things from happening. Now, what we don't want to do is get so far where it's like Minority Report. I don't know if you remember that movie, where they're stopping crimes before they happen, because that would be a little extreme, and you start worrying about invading privacy. But, I think things like schools, airports, that whole sign on the door saying no firearms allowed, that obviously hasn't worked. So this is an interesting step in trying to secure these places where we all want to feel safe.
All right. Matt, we appreciate you joining us on the Wake Up Call this morning. Thanks.
Thanks for having me on the show. Bye-bye.